Hello everyone and welcome back to another game coverage from round 5 of the 2018 Chess Olympiad. And as promised, I'm going to cover the game of Levon Aronian versus Shakriya Mamedyarov. So this game was played on table 1 of the Olympiad, so there was a lot of pride at stake. Aronian had white and Mamedyarov had the black pieces. The game opens with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, the Spanish, here a6, going for the Morphy's defense, bishop a4, knight to f6, white castles, and here knight takes e4. d4 from Aronian, bishop e7, so this has been played quite a lot between Kasparov and Anand in their World Championship match in the 90s. Rook to e1, b5, here rook takes e4, Mamedyarov plays d5, we have knight takes e5, and here if black captures the rook, then after knight c6, queen e7, knight takes e7, and at the end of this variation, white is going to have two minor pieces for the rook. This is going to be better for white. So here black played knight takes e5, we have rook takes, b takes a4, and here queen to e1, a logical move. Just piling up on the pinned bishop and preventing black from castling kingside immediately. We have f6, kicking back the rook, and also if needed, this king can come to f7 and black can castle manually. Rook to e3, and here c5 from Mamedyarov. A very bold move to play considering that the black king is still stuck in the center. But Mamedyarov is hoping that after d takes c5, king f7, this bishop is going to come to c5 and this bishop to b7. And then the bishops would be quite nicely placed across this long diagonals. Here we have queen to d1 from Aronian. White is hoping that if black captures the d-pawn, then he can recapture with the queen, and he can play against this isolated d-pawn with moves like a knight to c3. So here black castle, we have knight c3, rook b8, putting pressure on b2, b3 from Aronian. So here if you take the pawn, then white has no problems in this position. He's simply going to play bishop b2, and he would have nice pressure along this a file. So here we have c takes d4, queen takes d4, and here instead of defending this pawn with bishop b7, Mamedyarov plays bishop d6, so giving up the pawn with check, but he hopes to plant this bishop on e5. So we have queen takes d5 check, king h8, rook d3, stopping black from playing bishop e5 at the moment because then this queen would be hanging. Here queen to e8, so getting ready to play bishop to e5, and here you cannot capture the bishop because then queen to e1 is checkmate. So we have bishop b2, bishop e5, and here knight takes a4. Black is already 2 pawns down in this position. He does have the bishop pair and some nice potential across these long diagonals, but will this be enough? Rook to b5 from Mamedyarov, queen drops back, and now bishop b7 with tempo, queen to e3, a good move from Aronian, so trying to force an exchange of pieces, because if this bishop moves, then comes queen takes e8 and white would be okay. Here bishop to e4. This bishop cannot be taken because then this queen hangs. So here the rook drops back, and we have bishop takes g2 from Mamedyarov, trying to stir something up on the king side. And here if white plays f4, which is the safe move, then things would be okay for him. In fact, he should be better, because things would get traded off. And now white can use this 3-on-1 majority on the queen side. But instead of this, Aronian plays king takes g2, which plays right into Mamedyarov's hands. So now things are starting to get a bit dangerous. King f1, bishop takes h2, And here Aronian goes wrong with rook to e1. Instead, knight c5 would have offered more resistance, cutting off the rook from the king side, and also preparing to meet rook to e8 with knight to e6. But okay, we have rook to e1, here rook to g5, king e2, the king is trying to flee over to the queen side. Rook to e8, king d1, so this cannot be captured for now because rook d8 would be checkmate in a few moves. So here rook to g1, and this is probably the move missed by Aronian. Because if queen takes e8, then simply you capture back. And white cannot capture this queen because the rook is pinned to the king. So here we have bishop to e5, interposing. Bishop takes e5, rook e2, here h5. So Aronian is not even down material now, and he's simply going to push this pawn and try to queen it. And white's king is a bit exposed in the center. Queen to d3, queen to g2. This looks at f2 and also preparing to support the pawn down the board. Knight b6, Aronian's trying to bring this knight back into the game. Rook takes e1, queen takes f2, knight d5, and here rook d8 from Mamedyarov. Black is threatening to play queen to g2, so c4 from Aronian, but now this pawn hangs. Queen takes a2, queen to f3, we have g6 defending h5, rook e3, king g7, queen to h3, but here a very nice technique from Mamedyarov, queen to f2. So this prepares to push the pawn, but more importantly, black is trying to trade queens with queen g1 followed by queen to h2. Rook d3, now Mamedyarov gets the queens off the board. Rook to h3, bishop e5, but now this is going to be hopeless for white because black has these three connected passed pawns. King d3, a5, king to e4, king f7, king to f3, rook to h8, black gets his rook behind this passed pawn, king g2, g5, knight to e3, king e6, king to f1, f5, and in this position, Levon Aronian resigned the game. Well, these three passed pawns are simply too much for white. So with this win, Azerbaijan managed to defeat Armenia with a score of 2.5 to 1.5. And they now lead the tournament together with Poland with a total score of 16 points. So that is all for this video. I hope you enjoyed the game, and if you do, please subscribe for more future content. Thank you for watching and have a great day.